Hello and welcome back to the Northern Lights Rewind, where we're here to talk about the last episode or last cycle, last night of our Survivor Season 2 Northern Lights. We have a winner, we have our runners up, we have the
Awards.
yes, all of our awards, the flop fourth place fire making design, not a flop. We have all of that. So we're going to talk about all of it. But first, we need our recap from the one, the only Styles. Styles, what did we miss since our last episode of the Rewind?
So we were at the final five, right? All right.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So yeah, Vince went home. Luke actually contemplating backstabbing Peter, but just didn't go through with it. He was contemplating it. Him and Jimmy kind of talked about it a little bit on the voice call. Peter maybe should go. I think Jimmy definitely put. Come on, I can't really do this again. Look. Yeah, look what the fuck. Jimmy definitely planted those seeds, I think, but I do think Luke was willing and considering getting rid of Peter, but he just didn't. And I never really got an explanation as to why that didn't happen. Brooke put a hanky vote on Luke, which I think was very smart. I think she should have, if she was wanting to see someone go out in an accident, she probably should have let Peter go. You know what I mean? We'll talk about like the final scenarios in a bit. But Vince goes, it's like 3-1 because Brooke doesn't want to get idled out because Brooke did get the vote from Vince, so Vince did have an idol. See you later, Brooke. You know what I mean? Brooke's out of there. Vince goes. Vince played a good game. He had a lot of the craziest like kind of fights in the main chat too. It was great. And now he's on the jury, 5th place. Congratulations to Vince. Played a great game, in my opinion, though.
Did he go because people thought he could win?
I think that was one of the main reasons. They also felt like they couldn't really trust him too. Like a lot of people were like, I don't think Vince would take me to the end. And then also that he has a lot of friends on the jury. Like that 6-person alliance, the one that was kind of running the show, the first vote of the merge, like that made up a lot of the jury. So a lot of people had that in their mind. And that's like a big reason Vince went. And then we go to Final Four. Nothing really happened strategic. It's just like literally whoever wins. I'm sorry, I'm drinking beer right now, so I just had like a hiccup. But we go to Final Four, and then nothing crazy happens. Basically everyone promises that they'll take each other to the end. The typical like Final Four. No one actually really means it. Jimmy wins the immunity challenge. Jimmy puts Peter and Luke in fire making. Peter gets 2 correct answers and eliminates Luke. Luke gets 0 of the answers right. He's looking like me out there, which makes sense because we're buddies. He's just like one of the worst competitors of the season. I love you, Luke. And then our final 3 set with Brooke, Jimmy, and Peter. And if you are we talking about the what we think should have happened or why that person lost? Are we doing that?
I feel like with Luke, there's not really much. I mean, he lost a comp, and Vince.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Luke.
yeah.
No
I
one
do
said
think.
anything.
I think Jimmy maybe should have taken Luke to the end or taken out Peter. I think is what he should have done. He took Brooke to the end. He should have taken both Luke and Peter because then they can't vote for each other. And if someone thinks that Luke's the mastermind, they might vote for him. If someone thinks Peter's the mastermind, they may vote for him, which then gives Jimmy a better chance and maybe less votes needed to win. So there's a couple things he could have done different there for sure.
Well,
Luke played a good game, but I
Jimmy
think
won
Luke should
how
have been sitting
many?
there.
Jimmy won how many comps in a row? 4.
I don't know, basically everything. Yeah, like 3, I think. 3 immunities in a row. He's a fucking monster. At the end of the day, I still we'll talk about it. I still think no matter what, he deserved the win, but he could have maybe enhanced his chances a little bit if he did take Luke to the finals.
Well, I guess that's where we can kind of start. Like, why did Brooke lose and why did Jimmy lose in the final 3? So why did Jimmy lose? Like, what more could he have done to garner votes from the jury? And let's also talk about his final tribal council.
I personally think that if Jimmy would have came in as strong with his initial speech in the first couple of questions as he did with his final speech in those last couple of questions, that I think 1,000% he could have swayed them in his direction. But the first couple, like they were kind of like, 1 out of 10 or 12 or 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10. Like they were all doing it in the chat. And like his first like 2 or 3, like they just thought like his answers were garbage. I think a lot of that though too is that he struggles with public speaking. Like the anxiety takes over him. So I think once he kind of got comfortable and saw especially how well Peter was being, like Peter was like weirdly calm. Like I
Yeah,
don't
he's like
even
a sports broadcaster, so I could have
Yeah.
sworn that he'd be okay with it because he like does it on a daily basis or whatever. But he
Yeah.
did do very well and kept like his composure.
But I think that if he would have been as strong in like that those first couple of minutes, I think it could have been a little different for him.
What do you think, Ryan?
I think that unfortunately, I think it was just the type of game he had to end up playing to get to the end that maybe kind of burned it. Like, um, Peter had it a lot easier in terms of the social aspect, and he was never really necessarily a big target going into these tribal councils. And I think Jimmy had to make a lot of bigger moves in the end to get there to earn his spot. And I think that unfortunately, with those big moves comes a little bit of bitterness and blood on your hands that some people maybe just don't respect, unfortunately. And that's not big, like those types of moves not everyone respects, unfortunately. I think that was ultimately his downfall. Even though he played a great game, like sometimes those big moves lead to less jury management.
Okay.
Why you take him
And
out
that's okay.
pre-jury, right, Ryan?
Please.
So you take him out pre-jury. That's correct, Lene.
I think Jimmy like kind of I think he actually did really good at Final Tribal Council, and I think he actually is probably a pretty good public speaker. But I think his worst moments were his speeches because they're all written out already, and they weren't like it didn't sound genuine and from the heart when he was reading an already pre-written speech. Whereas like Peter kind of talked openly, he didn't have anything there, he just winged it and talked about whatever. Jimmy seemed a little bit robotic in the speeches. His speeches were definitely his weakest point because I do think if he had just came out and like let's go, like I deserve this, and whatever else instead of because the final speech was like really long for me. It was like a few minutes. So eventually, these people. This is 2023. These people are bored after like 5 seconds of someone talking because everyone on the jury is a big personality and wants to like they're not gonna just like listen to this guy for 5 minutes. So it was tough for him to keep them invested in his final speech. It was all content. However, a lot of times jury don't vote based on content; they vote based on who they like the best. You know what I mean? That's just how it is. I don't think anyone was necessarily bitter towards Jimmy. I think maybe they're a little bit hurt, and it could affect things slightly. I don't think that the reason he lost is because they were bitter. I think his questions were fucking amazing. I thought that was when he was really shining, especially towards the end, like you said, Lene. I think he was all for the most part pretty good at speaking, and didn't seem too nervous. Not more nervous than like I would have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he really, really shined during the questions. And if he brought that energy to the final speech, I think he maybe wins over Luke's vote. Like he maybe wins over who else voted for him? Vince? Like Vince is like gonna always kind of lead with emotion. So if Jimmy comes out fired up in the final speech, maybe Vince goes that way, So it's tough. You never know though, because maybe he comes out and is super emotional about a speech. They're like, fuck this guy. Then they all don't vote for him. You know what I mean? Like that's the thing. We don't really know. I don't think Jimmy really did anything wrong, but there's like small things, But that's sometimes all it takes.
Well, and especially like if Luke had won the fire making, Jimmy probably wins in a landslide.
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I think he wins probably. Yeah, landslide's an understatement.
So
I mean, landslide too, because wasn't Luke at a party?
yeah. Luke wasn't going to be able to do any kind of work at Final Tribal Council. That was not going to happen. What I mean?
Should Jimmy have taken Luke knowing that he's not great at comps and hope that Brooke takes out Peter?
Yeah.
I think so, and I think even if Peter and Luke are sitting at the end, he might still get the victory. You know what I mean? I think Brooke maybe votes. It's tough to say. I think he does have a better shot though, because Luke and Peter are almost arguing against each other for each other's credit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where obviously Luke's on the jury and he is advocating as the speeches are going for Peter. Like obviously like, that's his boy, and then that was a locked vote. Brooke's vote's not locked. Brooke could have voted for probably Peter or Jimmy realistically. So
Yeah, sure.
I think yes. I think he should have either taken Peter out or just taken Luke to the end, and he would have been good. I think he crushes Peter in that fire making challenge. Peter and Luke were terrible. They got like 2 questions right.
2 out of 9, yeah.
So next, let's talk about Brooke, who was our 0 vote finalist, which we did kind of predict in our last episode of the pod. What scenario did Brooke have to be in for them to win? When it kind of shook out at the end, or what could they have done better in order to get a couple of votes?
So sorry, I'm not laughing at Brooke, but he keeps disappearing.
Hi, and yeah. Fuck. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go, whatever you guys are gonna say. Go ahead. I was just trying to fix that shit.
Maybe if Brooke voluntarily did fire making, they would see that as some type of game-changing move. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah,
I really don't
it's
know.
tough.
Yeah, they just didn't really seem to understand Brooke's game, so I don't know if this jury was the jury for them. I don't know
Well,
if there was
I
anything.
think too that like why jury questioning was going on, like Brooke would give answers and then the jury was like, no, that's absolutely not, like they didn't say that to me. This is what actually happened. So it was like, I think Brooke was like trying to prove points and everybody was very much like discrediting it like almost immediately. I think
agree.
that maybe Brooke needed to own a little bit more than what they did, but I feel like it was going to be a tough climb for them regardless.
What was the vibe of the jury? How would you describe them in general, like coming into the voting process?
I think that they were very set, like it's going to be Jimmy or Peter, honestly. Like, I don't think that Brooke was ever really even a thought for them. And I think at one point, Steve, and I could be wrong on this, but I think Steve was like, I really think that you guys just need to like listen to them. And everybody was like, I don't have to. Like, I know they didn't do anything. And I'm like,
Yeah. Even though
no.
they're the reason that all of them are on the jury. Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah.
that was the. I think we had like a fun jury this season. It was a fun interaction. The round table and everything was fun, but they were totally like inflexible when it came to Brooke. You know what I mean? Brooke is the
Mhm.
reason that those people are there. Like she's one of them. They are one of the main reasons, and they like ran the end game and had all these amazing moments and was super underestimated and was very very real all the time. You know what I mean?
All
But
the
they
time.
just didn't like her and they didn't work with her, so they didn't know what they did. They just were never open minded to it whatsoever. It was like it's still tough because Peter and Jimmy are both amazing, so it's just gonna be tough either way. They probably should have gotten Luke, Vince, someone who's gonna not have as much credit at the final tribal council, or maybe do poorly and something like that. But it's gonna be tough. I don't think Brooke could have. I don't think they could have swayed any votes, no matter what. They could have came out and
I
said that they cured like a crazy disease and like saved a burning like building, and they were not getting no votes. Like bottle of ketchup was gonna win against Brooke. It was terrible. It's not. It's true. That's the way the jury saw it. It's true.
no, I mean he's not
Hey,
wrong. Let's be
no,
real.
yeah. And I'm
But I think
devastated because I love Brooke.
I know I
Yes.
love Brooke. Honestly, I know you're gonna watch this, and we genuinely love you so much. You were robbed. I don't care.
Yes.
I don't care what they've been telling you all day. I know that you went to your confessional after all this was done today, even, and you were like, they just don't listen. Like we listen, we know, like we get it. We
Yeah.
got
Production, the people that watch the game got to see. You know what I mean? And it's I'm not attacking any of the jury members in any way, but it's just the truth. It's just like
I don't think that they really went into it with an open mind. I think they
poor
just
Brooke.
went in
Yeah,
and they were like,
100%.
it's not going to be Luke, it's not going to be Brooke. We need to figure out between the two of them. And even some of them, like it wasn't like a pick between the two of them. It was just I'm doing Peter or I'm doing Jimmy. And it wasn't until like late in the speeches that some of them were like, okay, like maybe I'm not actually doing this, but it was like pulling teeth to get them to like see points of view.
Yeah, like even listen or care about what they were saying. It was definitely they were closed off for sure. Which it's tough it's tough, but some people it's tough to be objective because people are very like convinced that they're right about everything all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's just like human nature. Everyone wants to be right. That's the problem.
Everyone's robbed and we're always right. That's the jury.
Yep.
That's all
saying,
juries,
yep.
though. I don't mean this one particular, so that's all jury. Don't come for me.
Absolutely, it is always. Yeah, how many times have we seen this where someone like the jury like just didn't see the game that person was playing, and they like they're like that person's not winning, and they just never won. You know what I mean? There's people that weren't go to the end in a lot of seasons of Survivor and Big Brother and say whatever they need to say. They do amazing, and no chance, zero, nothing. obviously Final Tribal Council doesn't make everything, but it should be a huge part because that's you explaining why.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times where someone was never gonna get a vote, like in so many orgs, and it's all the time. So don't beat yourself up, Brooke, because it's not your fault. I think you play a great game. You could have been like kissed their butt a little bit more, and they probably would have had an open mind. I think, to be honest, but you did great. So congratulations on that, and congratulations on Biggest Hero too.
So now we have our winner, Peter, of season 2. I would say from like probably midpoint on, we've been pretty high on Peter, but for the last couple of times, we've all thought Jimmy was going to be the winner. So how did Peter kind of pull ahead in that last minute over Jimmy?
I think his speeches were a lot more genuine. Like I'm not saying that the other speeches were, sorry, I should reword that. I think his speech just sounded a lot more genuine, like not rehearsed, felt very like just felt like it came from his heart a lot, and you could just tell that like he really jury managed and was super social and made sure that everyone always knew that. So I think that that's what really pulled him ahead. Like his jury speech surprised me even. I was not expecting, but actually I should have expected it because yeah, he's a sports broadcaster. So like I should have known he was going to be super eloquent and good with his words, but I was shocked. I was like, this is a really good speech. And it sounds really genuine. It sounds like he's speaking from his heart right off the bat. Like the whole time it didn't feel like he was reading off a script. And I was like, I was encapsulated.
Yeah, Peter did really good in the Final Tribal Council, 100%. And then he just bonded with every single person in the game, like every person.
Everyone.
Peter like really tried to get to know whoever, even if he didn't like them that much, they annoyed him, they backstabbed him. He would still interact with them every single day and like actually get to know them very well, and even keep his mind open. I think that was one of the biggest things too that people really liked is that he was very flexible, and that's a very like I think that's one of the most powerful tools or traits that you can have. And for me, it would earn a lot of respect hearing that as a juror too. So I understand why they like that.
Did Peter necessarily have like a game-winning move, or was it just generally he played well?
Generally, he played well, in my opinion. I don't think there's like a single move that he orchestrated, and he actually did make quite a few strategic blunders along the way. But his social game was phenomenal, like top tier. So I think
he was part of the Derek vote, right?
Yeah. Like I would probably give more of that credit from my perspective, more of that credit to like Jimmy and Brooke in particular, because Peter was like kind of a little bit paranoid and panicking, and Luke got off the UPS truck and they all came to him with this plan. So like, I'd probably give the credit. I think it's a good move, and it does lower Peter's threat level a lot. So he was right about that. But I don't think like it was his move by any means, you know?
Well, I think a lot of his moves were things that other people orchestrated and they finalized together. Yeah. But I don't think that he really did like any one thing that really stuck out.
It was definitely it was a social game, really, in my opinion. I think like I give it a lot of credit. It was an elite social game. Like how open minded he was. He would get betrayed or find out that someone was talking shit about him and saying that he's a snake. Him and Vince had like a giant blow up, and like fucking 6 hours later, they're talking about like, hey, you watched the hockey game tonight? You know, like he was just good at that stuff. You know, he's gifted at communicating with people, and that's just such a good thing to have. And juries love that shit because they want to vote for who they like, you know?
Yeah.
So we had some fun awards to give away. Jimmy got Player of the Season. Peter got Social Beast. Brooke got Biggest Underdog, Best Hero. If there was, and this is one of the awards that I wish was there, but it wasn't. If there was a worst game move award, who would it have gone to and for what move?
I actually think we had something similar that we didn't actually give out. And I think it was like worst move or something. And I'm pretty sure my exact response was every time Jimmy used an idol.
The jury hated that for some reason. I don't really know why they were so like again, like Peter made misreads too. The jury like really cared that Jimmy uses idols incorrectly. Like they cared a lot about that. I wouldn't say it would be that though. I mean, it's probably Liv not using the tokens at swap.
Oh my god!
Yes, no, either that or Sam giving away her idol.
Yeah, that one too. That was definitely not a good
Oh.
move. Yeah, that was. I don't know if that was the best strategic move, but I get it though, because like I have that like side to me where like I'm really loyal to that one person. I'm willing to do whatever for that one person. But yeah, definitely not the smartest move. 100%.
Ugh. It's the
Yeah,
fact
no,
that
the
that one
idol.
idol hit 2 hands and still went out.
Yeah. No, actually, no. Derek played it to save
Yeah.
himself during the James play. It was a double idol play, no votes,
Oh, and then he
and then
got the
Derek
other
found
one.
it
He got
again.
the
Yeah.
other one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then Sam went home.
Oh man, I know that was brutal, yo. That's a really brutal way to go out. So yeah, yeah, that could be up there. I think that has to be top 2, right? And then all of
Yeah.
Kyle's messes that he made, like the last 2 days of his game, was definitely something to say the least.
Another fun question. What is your favorite moment of the game? Whether it be a game move, whether it be something fun in a confessional. What's something you're gonna look back on and be like, oh my gosh, that was such a fun moment that season being on production?
That's a real. That's a lot of moments.
You know, I think mine is probably when we did the stupid number comp, and I still think, like, even as of maybe this morning, that Mac is still trying to beat people in Jimmy's confessional. I think
Yes.
he has had so much fun with it, and I think that it kind of like in a stressful situation, I think it even made like us as production like have a little bit of fun with it because we're trying to get stuff ready, and here's Mac, at 7:30 in the morning, and I'm like, this fucking dude.
It's actually there's a lot of strategy that goes into that challenge,
I
especially if it's like a
know.
one-on. That's an amazing game. It's a
So
really
fun.
interesting game. So I see
Thank
what.
you.
Of course, Mac likes it. Mac is like, he like sees something that he likes, and he gets super into it, like a game or something like that.
Yeah, he'll
He
be
like
doing that
takes
for
it
months.
serious. Hell yeah.
For months.
I loved our when Bear led a cycle with production in her
Yeah.
DR.
And then said we'll finish this tomorrow, and it's like a month and a half later. Oh,
That was a
Sort
fun
out.
moment. Are we talking
Yeah.
about fun like moments in the confessionals, or just fun moments?
In general, just anything.
There's a lot of really, really good moments. There's a lot. The Jimmy flipping the game during the pre-swap was like one of the funnest things. And then Leah like had no clue what was happening for about 2 weeks straight, and like was like screwed. She was so screwed, and then all of a sudden she was like right back on top within like a
Yeah.
2-hour. It was crazy. And then Liv going home at the swap, like the way that came together was really, really epic too. The way that like Peter, Brooke, and Luke strategized and like came up with a plan that Steve would like, and that got Steve. It was really impressive to see that. That was fun and crazy because that was
Watching
also
gave
last
me
second.
So much anxiety though, because you just wanted Liv to stay so bad, and you're just like sitting there watching these conversations, and I'm just like, please no.
Yeah, and
Please
then from my
no.
perspective, that's my buddy, and like I'm just like watching him, and like Luke made some mistakes, so I was like, "Oh, Luke, why would you say that?" And then he would like recover a couple minutes later. I'm like, "Yeah, buddy, let's go. That's what I'm talking. That's my guy right there." So that was a crazy vote, and then the Leftovers alliance was nuts because I was really, really stoned during the whole thing. It was so
What was
good.
your favorite alliance name?
The favorite alliance name? Oh shit, I don't really remember any of the alliance names to be honest. I gotta look.
They're all in archive, I think. I don't think I've deleted any of them.
I gotta look real quick.
Don't delete anything. I need to get
No, I don't.
I think there was like a poop alliance at some point. Yeah, the
There's,
last
like,
of the
everything.
farts.
What about Gritty Mustard?
Gritty Mustard was good. There was a good alliance that disbanded at the swap. That was
See,
always
mine was the Fartastic Four. I thought Aiden picked that out, and I thought it was just literal gold.
There was the last of the farts. That
Yeah,
was
the last farts. Oh my
Oh,
god. Some
we
of
love
these
a
are
meme.
so good.
Next question. You guys get to bring one person back for an all-star season on this cast.
one
Bringing
person.
back and why?
Jimmy. Robbed.
I gotta give a different person because Jimmy would be my first pick, but I think some other people deserve recognition. So yes, Jimmy for sure. But Ryan, you go ahead.
I think I'm gonna go with Bear. I want to see what Bear can do.
So
when
yeah, what
Bear
about
is given
second
the chance.
chances? That would be even more interesting. Like who would be who early boots would we bring back? I think that's a really interesting
I
conversation.
think there's a lot of people who have a good like story setup. Like Liv, like was in such a good spot, and then just kind of
and she was such a big character too.
Yeah, like she's a great pick for a second chance. Bear, Jake.
You know who's
Kyle.
not a good pick?
Kyle. I think
Kyle.
Kyle would be the number one person I want to see back. I
Y'all know
love
who's not a
Kyle.
good pick? I'll give you one guess.
Who's not a good pick?
Yeah,
Lily?
Bingo.
Unfortunately, Lily's great. I'd love to see who else I want to see back. Floyd would be cool, but I don't know if he'd like be
Floyd.
the top of the ballot because there's just so many. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. In general, this was a really fun season. It had a
Yeah.
lot of twists and a lot of turns, and people who you thought were going to be there at the end all started getting decimated, like the Rachels and the Dereks, and the Leahs. And then we were like, oh no, definitely it's going to be who do we say was going to win in the very next? Liv.
I
So
said
many
Liv.
times we would pick a
Yeah,
winner
people said
pick,
Liv. Yeah.
and the next they'd be gone. So it
Yeah,
was really
I will
exciting.
say preseason I picked Peter to win, but then I was like, he's not gonna win. Like the whole game, I'm like, I don't think he's gonna win, and then he wins. So you know what? I'm just gonna act like
that
it's
was
not
your
that.
winner pick. And so Styles, you won this like little draft we had in this
Yeah,
in
yeah.
this podcast.
Yep, the podcast draft, 100%. Yeah.
Derek's gonna be Venmoing you $50.
Whoa, yeah, please don't do that.
From Brian's bank account. Yes.
Of course.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
So-
actually, no, Callie's paying.
Yeah.
And then
we
I'm splitting
also-
the $50 for every production member.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Oh, so we all get $1.
Yeah,
only
baby. Yeah.
Only the production members who have been on this podcast.
Okay, all right, so we can work with that. And then I'm
Yes.
also gonna give a couple bucks to Aiden as well.
For the Fartastic Four name.
Yeah,
specifically.
Yeah, that was actually probably the best name, to be honest.
It was
That's a
so
fucking
good.
hilarious name.
The podcast for this season is not over yet because we will be doing exit interviews.
I'm so
those
down
together
for that. Yes.
tonight. So if any of you guys want to sign up to do an exit interview with a specific contestant, we can do that, make it interesting. But I think that's kind of all we had to talk about for the finale. Exit interviews, maybe we'll reveal a couple things. But other than that, it's been a fun time doing the podcast for this first time. And we will be doing it again for Northern Lights Big Brother, right?
Yep.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Fuck it. Yeah,
Right.
I'm down.
I'm ready for it.
Brother.
I'm
Styles is
so
like,
ready
I
for
haven't looked at the prod chat over there.
it. Well, get over there because there's definitely pings for you, Lene.
I was gonna say it's Big Brother season now. It's time for Big Brother. We got the
It's-
summer coming up. I know it's August 5th this season in real life, but we got Big Brother. Big Brother Can 11 sucked. It's all good. That's gone. And then we got
It's-
Northern Lights Big Brother.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where it's
Season
at.
7. Season fucking 7. So
I know. This shit's gonna be crazy, yo.
yeah. The
Season
Northern
6
Lights-
was bomb.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, season 6 was only good during like the second half. The first half of the game sucked.
and we don't talk about season 5. So
Season 5 was All Stars, right?
if there was
Oh, that was
five, yes,
toxic.
that
That's
would-
toxic.
that's what it would have been, yeah.
That's toxic.
said
Who won?
that.
Who won that?
Addie
Adia, how about
over Callie. Callie got runner up.
I gave up my spot for her.
Yeesh. For
That's what
Callie,
Lenny
though?
likes
They
to
didn't
say
give Callie
now.
the win.
You know,
They didn't give Callie the win there. That
talk
person
to
must have played a
Pixar
good game.
about it, Styles.
All right, cool. Yeah, we'll talk about it another because I don't know what happened. I joined the server in season 6. Actually, no, that's not true. I've been in the server a long time, but I didn't watch any of this stuff. I kept a little bit of track, but yeah, I got to go back and do my history. You get the wiki up or no?
Now that this is over, now I'm going to be working on the wiki before we start doing all the Big Brother stuff.
Derek, can I ask you a question real quick? What makes you like doing this so much? Like all this awesome graphics and the podcast and the wiki. Like what's giving you all this motivation?
I just like making an experience. You know what I mean? Like so many games. Okay, no, Lene, please. No, but like so many games people just forget about and you never think of it again. But like now this game is cemented in history. Like people can always go back and remember when Sam, gave her idol to Derek and then went home, or when like Jimmy got robbed at Final 2. Not saying he got robbed, but
and our horrible takes on everything.
yes, exactly. Like now this game is like out there to be digested by anyone who wants to go listen in.
In 3 years, you're gonna see this shit on all of the open DRs. They're gonna be like, "Look, Jimmy used the idols all wrong." Like this.
Yeah,
is
I'm telling you, this is gonna put a mark in history when Big Brother Northern Lights season 20 Winners at War comes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, or sorry, we're finalists at War for that would be in Jimmy's case, unfortunately.
I'll put all the videos on private so no one can go back for tea.
That's an interesting season design that you should do like in an org as finalists. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Surprised that doesn't happen in like real life. I feel like Big Brother could do finalists.
They could, for sure they could. Okay, well, I think that's the end of our main season chats. Exit interviews we'll do soon, and this will go live tomorrow for everyone to talk or to listen and talk about
Oh
after. So
boy,
we'll
I'm
see
gonna
how
get some
that goes.
angry texts.
We're gonna get some angry DMs.
Oh yeah, I know exactly who and why the people will be mad at me. 100%.
Exactly. So thank you to my lovely co-hosts, Lene, Styles, and Ryan. I'll see you all for next season. Big Brother, season 7, Northern Lights. Big Brother Rewind. Okay, bye.
Fine.
Namaste.